My name is Zach and I'm 20 years old. Right now I'm working. I work for a construction company and then just also doing little side jobs for different people, handyman type work. Okay. I like to get outside, hike, bike, get on the river, camp, anything outdoors. The first time I ever encountered vaping, I was 14 years old. So when I first discovered vaping, I was hanging out with some of my buddies, and one of my buddies had just gotten a vape, and he was like, "Do you want to try it?" And I really didn't know much better, so I said, "Sure." And I tried it once, and then, after that time, I was fine. But then a little bit later, another one of my buddies had one, and so I decided to try it again. And then the second time tried it, I was hooked, and yeah, it's just worst decision I've probably made in my life. I believe he got his vape from his older brother. I was actually in one of my friends in his house, just hanging out on the couch playing Xbox and everything. The first time I was kind of more so just on the edge, like, oh, that happened. It was just like a little buzz, nothing crazy. But then I wasn't very fond of it. But then the second time, for some reason, it was kind of the dagger through the heart. Like once you took that second hit, it was just you wanted another one and another one and another one, and your body and mind just started craving it, and just kind of hard to get out of it once you start. And yeah, I did smoke cigarettes on top of vaping and everything, but after vaping for so long, all the flavors and everything, I just aimed more towards getting you hooked and liking, all the special flavors that they have. And then once you try a cigarette, it's kind of gross, and also it kind of has that nasty stigma to it. But vaping didn't have that when I was younger, and so it was just, cigarettes weren't really an option or consideration because I just saw those as bad. But vaping didn't seem like anything bad. I wouldn't say it was much different because I only smoked cigarettes for a little bit. But I did feel some health impacts, especially with because I ran track in high school. And so with track and everything, I could feel my lungs struggling at almost every race and every single practice. I stayed in track in all my athletics throughout all my high school career. I loved it, so I pushed through it, but it definitely made it a little harder and probably impacted some of my abilities. At first, I was kind of a little more so confused than anything. Like I had heard about it, but I really didn't know what it was. And then when I was presented, when it was around me, I was kind of just more so curious. I wasn't really scared or all on board or anything. I was more so just curious as to what it was and why it was so popular with everything. So I'd say after the second time, which I had actually about 2 months between the first time and the second time. But once that second time came around, I'd say the second I started, I was getting everything all the time. I couldn't go like a day without it. So I'd have to hide it from like parents and, other people. But with vaping, it's just so easy to conceal and everything like that you can kind of do it wherever and whenever you want, which I think is another one of the most dangerous parts about it, because you don't really have to like step outside and hide it. You don't have a smell that you have to try and cover up. It's just you can pretty much hit it wherever you want. So as long as you're not doing it directly in front of your parents or something like that, it was just easily accessible and easy to do. I realized that I wanted to quit probably my end of my sophomore year to my junior year of high school, and decided that I wanted to quit. And it's still been an ongoing battle. I've gotten a lot better since then, but it's almost impossible to quit, and I've been trying since my sophomore, junior year in high school. I've tried cold turkey, and then so I've tried cold turkey to quit, and after trying that, I realized, after a couple days, I started to kind of fiend for it really badly, and I just really needed it, and so I kind of caved into it again and just went right back into it. I've tried weaning off of it a little bit, like dropping the nicotine percentage and all that. But then I always end up somehow going back to the full strength stuff because you'll have a stressful day or something and you want to get something stronger than what you have. And those are basically the two ways I've tried. And then I actually I quit vaping entirely. But I was still hooked on the nicotine aspect of everything. So I'm still trying to get off of nicotine as a whole, but I was able to get rid of the vaping side of everything. I actually it's like a synthetic nicotine pouch thing that you just kind of put in your mouth. If there was a way to help get rid of it, or, even if there was I just kind of had this idea a while ago, if there was like a week-long retreat for people trying to get off of it where you literally have no choice but to quit because you're out in the middle of nowhere doing something like that. You have no way to get it, no way to do it. If there was an option like that to do something like that, then I would 100% be on board, or have somebody there to kind of keep you accountable or send you text or calls or anything like that. I think some service would be great. I am unaware of any services that are currently available. I didn't even know that that was a thing, honestly. If I knew about it, that would be helpful for sure. I'd say stress is probably my biggest trigger, but there's definitely, I mean, anything can really cause me to want it. I have an older brother. We're kind of both on the same page with everything. Where we both started when we were pretty young, and then we've both just been trying to kick it ever since. We kind of realized that this is awful. Everybody that I've ever met that is younger than me or hasn't done any of it, I tell them, the first thing I ever tell them if they ever ask any questions is, do not do this. I would not want a younger sibling, any of my friends, or anybody to ever get started on this, because once you get started, it's a long struggle that you don't want to go through. So I would prefer not to see anybody else have to go through that if they don't have to. So if I could go back in time to when I was 14 and I took that first hit, I would say, listen, it's not worth your time, it's not worth your money, it's not worth anything that you're going to do. It's just not worth it at all in any way, shape, or form. And I'd probably bring up, because I'm really big into cars and that kind of stuff, I've spent probably on the upside of a couple $1,000 to $10,000 on nicotine products and everything. So I'd say you could have car parts or even a whole new car if you wanted to, but instead you chose to do this and wasted your money away on that.